Yeah, I can see your screen.
Alright, just
Sorry,
1
my
second.
camera is not reaching for it too.
Do you know how to share your screen?
Yeah, give me a moment. Share screen. Okay. Okay, you can now do it. Okay. Can you see mine?
Yep. Just hang on.
Yay. Let's go crazy. What do you want me to use? Pencil size, or can you send me program I would like?
You can use whatever you would like.
Anything, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Yay. So yeah, I'm ready for my class. I'm excited. Thank you very much. Yay.
Just setting up what we need to look at. Alright, so let me just write down the contents of what you're going to cover today. So we're going to be going over the neck anatomy.
Yes. Please do.
Okay, contents. Alright, so neck. Anatomy. So we're going to go over the skeletal. We're going to go over the skull and cervical vertebrae. Cervical vertebrae. We're going to go over the muscles, the superficial muscles, so superficial muscles.
Yay.
Muscles, so there's going to be 3 in particular, which is the sternocleidomastoid. That's just one of them. The other one is the levator scapulae. Levator scapulae, and of course the trapezius. And then I'm going to cover what they are and where they attach. So muscular attachment. Oh, I haven't checked if the Restream chat is working yet. So, if you just bear with me for a second. Just need to reconnect all the chats. Connect Picato, reconnect Twitch, reconnect YouTube. And just sending out chat test. There we go. Everything's working. Let's do this. So if I can just...
Yay!
Alright. So if I can just go and into Google. Okay, so we're gonna start off. Let's go with the skeletal part first. So of course, you're going to need to know the proportions of the skull. So if we start off with a cube, just draw any cube, and then cut that cube into 4 sections equally. So and in the middle section here, you can draw another small square at the front over here, and then divide that into 5 times. So that's just split the top in half and the bottom in half. Now the bottom half here, that's where this is the line of the maxilla. Maxilla line. And behind it, if you keep drawing across, you find a line of the occipital bone. I should do these in different colors.
Okay.
So let's do this one in pink. So it's the maxilla. Let's do the occipital bone in blue. Occipital bone, which is the back of the cranium. So the back of the skull. And the green part here.
So it's one fifth from the face.
It's 1/5 from either the bottom of the mandible or an eye socket below the eye socket. So it's the skull is split 5 times. Okay, let me write that down too. So the skull is. Yep. At the end of the week, I upload everything, and that's when the Patreon billing goes out as well. Whew, I am not a morning person.
I'm so sorry that I have available.
No, that's fine. I just haven't gotten my routine together yet, where I can wake up in the morning regularly. Okay, so the skull is 5 eye sockets tall.
Okay, yeah.
This is 5 eye sockets tall and wide. 5 sockets tall and wide. And the eye socket can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. The eye socket is inlaid by half an eye socket. Alright, so if I just take this drawing here and develop it out for you so you can see very quickly. Your eye socket is here. And there we go. And mandible. I'm going to leave out some of the other bones. It's not too important for what we're about to cover since we're not doing the skull. Well, the focus isn't the skull. You just needed some of these to get yourself going. Okay, so now that we've got that covered, now here's the important part. So now that you know where the occipital bone line is and where the mandible line is, I'm supposed
so
to.
they are also fifth, right? Of
The eye socket. Everything is measured in the with eye sockets. The skull is 5 eye sockets tall and wide.
Okay, now that makes sense. Okay.
That's why we split it into 5. Okay, cool.
Okay.
So this green line here is the mandible line. Oh, this isn't dark enough. The mandible. Okay. So this green line is the mandible. And let's just merge this down. And so the reason why this is important is it lets you know where the cervical vertebrae sockets in to the, I think it's the magnus or the magnum foramen. Let's see if I... One second, is this side? Front. Oh.
Wow, this makes a lot of sense, man.
Oh, this is the wrong one. Okay. Anyway, okay. So just because you have this T-square shape here, you know, this shape here. Now you know where the neck is going to fit in. So the neck is going to fit directly into that. Maybe a little thinner, maybe a little thicker for some other people.
Okay.
But roughly something like that. So let's take this.
It's like 1/4 of the last square when it starts.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Because some of it, the main portion of it that you see is about here. And this is where you can see the majority of the spine. The rest are the, what do they call these? I always forget what they call the spines on the back of the spines. They're just called the spinous process. So the reason why you divide them here like this is because you know the pointy parts. You have the circular parts of the spine, and then you have the spinous process.
Yeah.
Which kind of stack like this, and the reason why is because they need space to bend.
Okay.
Because if you take them like this, let's say if you stack them, I'm just going to stack these ones very quickly. Oh, this one was wrong. And then let's make another one where it bends.
So it's around like seven of them?
The cervical vertebrae has 7, yes.
Okay, yeah.
And they're marked by the atlas, the axis, and then it's C3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I won't go into the atlas and the axis. Those two are responsible for rotating and bending, but we're just going to go over these parts first. So you can see that they have that notch in them like this. So when you bend your neck, it allows it to flex backwards like this. Sounds like you're going through a lot of technical difficulties there.
Sorry about that.
I thought you set up your camera before.
No, it's not that. It's just that my computer is like too far from my. The camera cable doesn't reach one side to the other, so it keeps holding.
Remember, I only need it so I can hear you, so you can leave it any way you want.
Yeah.
Alright, so let me just merge all these layers. So now you can see how the vertebrae flexes. And this is why it has those notches underneath the spinous process. So let's just call this.
Well, those are on the side or on the front? The side, right?
This is the side.
Okay.
You wouldn't be able to see the spinous process from the front. So this is a cervical vertebra. Plural is vertebrae. So vertebra. Oop. Vertebra, and this is the spinous process.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, the amount of, if you were designing a character and you wanted them to have an extremely limber neck, it would mean that they would have very high notches in their spinous process to be able to extend backwards even further. So if you look at a snake's spine, you'll find that they have higher notches in their spinous processes. So now that we know that the spinous process is here, and we can just divide it up like this. Actually, there aren't that many. Forget that there's 7, so there's 1, so the atlas, see 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 is over here.
Mm-hmm.
So if I write that down, there are 7. There are 7 vertebra in the cervical vertebrae. There you go. Okay, actually, let's turn these contents off so I can move this up here and get a bit more space. Now this is where it becomes important, where you know where the clavicle and scapula are.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, so let's copy pasta this again. Cool. There we go, and I gotta move everything down here. Just 1 down. Okay. Now then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so the first bone of the rib cage, or the first rib, will be found at the bottom of the 7th cervical vertebrae. Or vertebra. I like saying vertebrae instead. Rolls off the tongue easier. And in the middle here, you'll find the manubrium, which is important, because that is where the clavicles attach. Ooh, this is getting in the way too. So let's merge this down, cut this over, paste it over here, merge it down again. Alright. So, hang on, where did all of my reference go, just to make sure this is absolutely correct. So the clavicle will attach around halfway through the neck, around here. And this attaches to the acromion. And this sort of creates a circle around here. There's the glenoid.
Okay.
Sorry, what was that?
No, it's okay.
Okay. There's the glenoid cavity underneath. So let me just color code all of this. Let's get a pink for the clavicle here. Yep. It's very circular around the rib cage. So I'll do a perspective from the top in a minute. And let's do the acromion in green. This one here is the clavicle. Although this varies where the acromion and clavicle meet, depending on whether you're flexing your shoulders backwards or forwards, and depending on the kind of natural posture that you have. So if we looked at this from the top, you have your skull here. This is your rib cage. Manubrium and sternum are going to be in here. Seems like one of my students wants to send me some photos at 10:40 in the morning. Alright, so here's the acromion. Yep. They're all very giddy and ready to learn. So here we go. Thank you. Let me just color code these afterwards. Now it's important you know where these bones are before we go to the muscles, because the muscles attach directly to them. And they also have very superficial impression on the skin, so they're always visible. and they become landmarks in life drawing, so you can always see where they are. Okay, and then I will color code them once more. So the acromion is a spine that comes out of the scapula, and it lifts up. Right now it's more important that we just attach them like this. Oh, that's the wrong color. Need red. Multiply it down. So here is your clavicle. Here is your acromion. So the acromion is actually the part at the front, and the rest is called the scapular spine. And it's important because things attach at different places, in very specific places. So here we go, clavicle, and this is the scapular spine. So acromion. Oh, wrong layer. Acromion, clavicle.
Those were separate, they didn't met, I don't know.
Oh, they do. They are touching all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, but for me,
part of
that one is part of the ribs, right? It's the first one for the ribs. So I always thought that the ribs were completely separated from that area. The clavicle kinda, made something else.
Oh, no, the clavicle attaches to the manubrium, which is at the top of the rib cage.
Okay.
So, I should color code this too, shouldn't I? Just go to this layer, type in manubrium. So we can label it down here as well. Manubrium. Okay. This is a little wide here. So if I remember correctly, the clavicles and the acromion will actually poke outside of the rib cage. Because remember, the arms have to hang off of the rib cage. They shouldn't be touching the rib cage.
Oh.
Because your glenoid cavity, or is it the glenoid foramen? I can't remember. Well, cavity, foramen, potato, is where the humerus will socket in, and that's where the arm will dangle from. So the glenoid cavity is also on the scapula. Let me just merge this down. So, I've run out of space there, so if I just quickly doodle another skull over here. So mandible is here. Chin like this. Eye over here. Oop. And it's the nose.
Okay.
So I'm just going to fit the scapula down here. Is it big enough for you to see? Can you see?
No, it's still a little bit below.
Can you try enlarging your Google Hangout?
Full screen. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Go.
Okay. Well, maybe I should make it bigger anyway. We've got space here. This is... Oh, what the hell?
Disaster.
Okay. Oh, now we don't have enough space. Okay, so you got the first rib here, and your scapula is going to be here, and the acromion comes across from the side and attaches down here, and the glenoid cavity is down here. It's supposed to be... There we go. There's the glenoid cavity. So, humerus sockets into here. The arm goes here. There we go. If I color code this some more, keep it consistent with everything else, so nobody gets confused. There we go. So your acromion and scapular spine is here, and your clavicle is over here. Let's make that more vibrant. There you go. Same with the green.
Clavicle was going even more down than that.
You have to remember that the clavicle's on top, and you have to make space for the deltoid. So remember, the deltoid is going to be on top here.
Yeah.
Okay. How are we doing on time? We got 15 minutes left. So let's...
Plenty of time, don't worry.
Yep. So let's put this in here. Let's get another folder. We're going to start attaching muscles. So let's just take this. I'll take this one instead. Okay. That's the demo. Actually, no. So, skeletal is in here. Turn it off. Muscle. There we go. Let's get to it. Let's just add first rib. Then we are going to add scapula down here. Well, let's add more of this. This is a very long neck. Should probably make it shorter. see. Should hard head down, and then 1.5. This is still a bit small. Alright, and there should be space at the back. The spine. Something else you have to remember is that the back, the neck has a space at the back in front of the neck, or behind the neck. So when you lie down, your spinous process doesn't touch the floor. And this allows you to lie down peacefully, without discomfort. As opposed to, say, something like resting on your trochanter, which is the bone that points out of your hip. If you lie down on your trochanter on a hard surface, it's very uncomfortable. And this is what allows humans to lie down on their back and sleep like that everywhere. Oh, this should probably be a little longer. Okay, so let's start adding the muscles. We know that the manubrium is down here. I'm going to make another layer for this. And so at the back of the occipital bone, you will find the mastoid. The mastoid is back here. Mastoid. And you already know where the clavicle, and the sternum is. And this is where we attach the sternocleidomastoid. So we just make another layer here, we draw it on. Attaches from the mastoid at the back directly to the clavicle, and it also attaches to the sternum, more precisely the manubrium. We just color code that. So that's one of the first main superficial muscles. Now let's not forget. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's also put this on this layer. The sternocleidomastoid. And you know what? Underneath it, I'll also write the name here, so sternocleido. And mastoid is mastoid. No need to. I'll just put it in brackets anyway. Sternocleidomastoid. And so what this does is it allows your neck to go forwards. So if you're pulling one of them, if you're pulling one of them, then only one side of your face will go forwards. If you pull the right one, the right side of your face goes forwards. If you pull both of them, then your entire face goes forwards. Okay. Let's just copy this out again. Now we are going to add we will be adding the trapezius. So if we just quickly get our scapula back in here. Oh, you know what? I should probably draw a version from the front very quickly. That helps a lot to understand where everything is going. So we know that the eye is here. And then we split the face into fifths. We know that the mandible line is here. There's the eye. The other one, it was here. There's a here and here and around here and here. If I flip it, yeah, that'll do. So we know that the occipital bone, where the mastoid process is and where the mastoid connects to, will be at this line here. So we know if we were drawing through. Oh, this text is getting in the way. Okay, that should be enough space. So we know if our manubrium is here, and our mastoid process is here, and our clavicles be off to the side here somewhere. Then we know that one is going to go to the clavicle over here, and another one will go to the sternum over here. And the sternocostal head will be on top, and the clavicle head will be on the bottom. So this is how you end up getting. So when people are super ripped, you can see both at the same time. Let's fix this. Oh, back here. So they slant inwards, both of them, a bit. So here and here. The gap between them, this little triangle that you get, it isn't too big. But it's noticeable when you flex and you're ripped enough. Or if you're extremely, extremely gaunt or thin. Or old. Sometimes old thin people, it's pretty easy to see. Okay. Let's go over here and look at a lot of these. Oh, cut it off at one point. Sounds like you got a doggy in there.
Yeah, I think that's doggy in the world.
Is he adorable? Is he a good boy? Is he a good boy?
He's a good boy. But I know your dog is also awesome, right?
Yep.
The best dog ever?
Yep. Hey. Okay, let's not forget that I should have drawn the jaw in here, getting ever so slightly smaller. So you would actually see, it go all the way up the jaw here, off to the side. Where's my brush?
What about the tatum?
The what?
Like the kind that hangs under the cheek. How you call them? How you call it?
The stuff on your chin?
Yeah.
Hang on. Hang on, Twitch chat. The stuff under your... Are you talking about the hyoid bone?
No. Let me show you.
The skin?
That one.
You mean your jowl?
No, not the jaw, this part.
The jowl. It's called a JAWL.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that.
Okay, so let me just get this a little darker. We'll do any stream questions after the lesson's over. Which is soon. Those are the zygomatic bones. We'll go over where they go in another lesson. So I was just clearing out the sides so you can see the connection to the mastoid. And these are very thick mastoids, by the way. They're usually, unless, even on bodybuilders, they're not that big. If you see them in Dragon Ball, they're ridiculously big. They're not that big. That is very stylized. And it looks awesome. It's not a bad thing. I like to draw them huge too. Let me just fix this brow over here. Okay. So we have the one from the front and the side. Now let's go and add what do you call it? Oh. Let's separate this. Let's add the trapezius from the back. And, it's already 11, so we started a bit late by 10 minutes, so let's keep going for just another 8 minutes and get the rest of this in.
I can just take another 5 minutes more.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's alright. Unless you want to leave now, which is perfectly fine.
No, 5 minutes more. Shower me with information.
So it's too bad. I don't think I'll get to the levator scapulae, which is actually very important as well for understanding why the scapula is shaped the way that it is. Not meant to be this wide. So anyway, the trapezius attaches at the back of the occipital bone, which is what gives it the girth from the side. And the girth from the front is from the trachea. I think that's what it's called. But it's one of the pipes in the throat, and it's protected by a bunch of cartilage. But it's essentially this pipe shape that you get. And this is what gives the volume for all of the neck. Now above here will also be the hyoid bone. I wasn't planning on going through this part where it's a bit higher. Now the hyoid bone is suspended. It's the only suspended bone in the body.
So that's the apple?
No, the Adam's apple. The Adam's apple is lower. It's a piece of cartilage that has a right angle to it down here. It's a piece of cartilage more towards the middle. And the hyoid bone is actually, it's covered up by a bunch of muscles. So this is the Adam's apple, and this is the hyoid bone. The hyoid bone has a bunch of muscles attaching to the chin and the jaw, and a bunch of smaller ones that go through the neck. So if I actually find a space to write this down, so the hyoid over here, and the cartilage. So just call this the Adam's apple.
So
Adam's cartilage.
They meant it's not that noticeable, right?
Sorry, what was that?
Everybody has an apple, but in men it's more noticeable.
In a more masculine neck, it is more noticeable.
Okay.
If you're trying to make it more masculine, you know, like, because both men and women will show it.
Yeah. So, but use for the Adam's apple, why it's there?
Because it's protecting the voice box.
Oh.
I know. It's funny how all the parts in the body have some kind of use. Like even, you know, they found out that the appendix was used to create toxins to prevent predators from eating humans. And then once we climbed to the top of the food chain, we stopped producing it to stop harming ourselves. So here is the trapezius. And I'll do the cartilage in blue. So it protects the muscles and the voice box. There's a few pieces of cartilage that's around there. But this one's the more important one. For a masculine one, you want a right angle. You want a right angle going on, so it's this kind of shape. Oh, a bit of red in here. It's this kind of shape here. And if it's more feminine, then it's just more relaxed.
More slender.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I think that's all we have time for. So we covered. So just to go over this stuff very briefly. So we covered the size of the skull, how many vertebrae are inside the cervical vertebrae, where the rib cage starts, the manubrium, the clavicle, the acromion, why there are notches in the spinous process, where the acromion and clavicle meet from the side view and the top view over here, and the fact that, you know, they should actually be, they should be further out. Just remember that the arms have to hang off of the rib cage, not on top. So you can sort of just draw a circle around it, or an oval, actually. An oval. Oh no, I already merged all these colors. I have to redo it later. Just quickly throw this in here, and this one should be meeting halfway here and here. So we also know the proportions of the skull, that it's 5 tall and 5 wide. This will allow you to find the occipital bone and the mandible, which will allow you to socket the neck in. And the volume of the neck comes from the trapezius, as well as the windpipe. It's here. And it's protected by the Adam's apple cartilage, and above it is the hyoid bone, which will attach a bunch of things to the mandible. Has this made sense so far?
Yeah.
Are you sure? That doesn't sound so convincing.
I'm still having like, it's just about practice for this. But yeah, I definitely would like to see the notes, to keep reviewing, because I feel like sometimes there's a lot of information that's happening, but to make it really clear.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, thank you very much.
So, if I was, just before you go, so you know how to draw I'll put in the contours for the trapezius over here, so that you know what's missing from this side and what's missing from the other side. Okay? It'd be something like that.
Okay.
Alright?
Oh, no, amazing. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Alright. So I guess that's going to conclude. Okay, so Keegzo UK just sent me, it's just more spam. Another spam account on here. Somebody keeps throwing that cat at me on stream. I just finish off this goal. Alright, so these notes will be going out tomorrow, and you'll be able to pick them up then.
Thank you.
And I guess that concludes our lesson from today. I guess you already covered the fact that it's a lot of information, but you'll get the hang of it once you give it some practice.
Yeah. Yay. I'm gonna do that.
Okay. Alright, so if anybody has any other questions, now would be the time to ask before I go. I'll give you a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2. Oh, if I imagine that's all there is going to be for today.
I don't really need to go, but thank you very much for everything.
Okay, cool. So I need to go too, and I'll see you another time.
Where are you going?
Places.